This one's for everybody, whether you're a cadet, you want to be a chief, or you're already a chief. This is BR's Morning Meeting, episode 6. So you say you want to be a fire chief. So when we talk about being a fire chief, there's a lot to it, but today what I'm going to talk about is the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's a lot of good things about it. There are a lot of bad things about it, and there are a lot of ugly things about it. And what I've found is when you start out in this business, you start out as a probationary firefighter, there are certain good things, there are certain bad things, and there are certain ugly things about it. And as you move up the ladder, those good and bad and ugly things change. And what I found was by the time I got to the top, there was a lot less good than there was bad and ugly. So we're going to talk about some of that today. So let's start off with a positive note, and we'll talk about the good things about being the fire chief. Obviously, the position, you have some power, you're able to make some changes, you're able to do things your way in most cases. You have some independence, you can pick out what you want to do during a day, you have the autonomy to decide what the priorities are, those kind of things. Generally speaking, this is not in all cases. There are some fire chiefs that I know that are micromanaged by their township trustee or their town council or whoever. And that's not a good situation to be in. And when you're talking about a volunteer department, you might have to have, my first stint as fire chief, the fire department I was on, a small volunteer department, they wanted to vote on everything. And I used to have the argument with them about the fact that when we're on the fire scene, what I say go, when I say something, is that what we're going to do? We're not going to vote on it, are we? And they said, of course not. But when it came to everything else, they wanted to vote on it. So that has a lot to do. These things have a lot to do with the type of organization you're in. So the point here is for you to think about these things when you're not the fire chief. What are some things that you need to understand about what a fire chief is dealing with? Then we talk about the perks. I always try to err on the side of not taking advantage of those perks. I used the perks when I needed them, but I tried not to take advantage of them. Rewarding, the recognition, it can be very rewarding. You get recognition for being the fire chief for things the organization has done. I know several times, we got recognized for some things that happened on different runs or different situations, and I just happened to be the person at the meeting and I got the recognition for the organization. So the key part about that also is that in turn I got to give recognition, and that was one of the most fun things, was recognizing people for doing a good job and doing that. So I always took great pride in that. Hiring and promoting, I tell you, there's nothing better than telling a young kid that you're going to hire them to be a firefighter and it's their dream job, or telling that young firefighter who's been working his butt off and you get to promote him to lieutenant. Those are just incredible moments that you enjoy a lot. Retirement, the retirement parties, they're bittersweet, but it's good to see guys complete their careers, make it through a relatively unscathed, that kind of thing. And then the public, it kind of goes with the recognition, but being out in public and being recognized when people ask you what you do for a living, or they see you in uniform and they thank you for your service and that kind of thing, it's very rewarding. That's some of the really good parts about being the fire chief. The bad, there's a whole bunch of bad. Injuries. Anytime one of my people got hurt, it was, I felt responsible. The politics, that is one of the things that I could never figure out how to enjoy it. It depends on your situation. It's worse in some places than it is others, but it can be draining on you. Discipline. Discipline is not a fun thing to do, but it has to be done. It's part of the job. The hiring and promotion. Not only do you get to tell that person that you're going to give them their dream job, you also have to tell some people that they didn't make the cut, and that's hard. I've had experiences where I've had to tell people that were my friends that they were not going to be promoted that they didn't make it. And so that's a bad part about this job. The budget, dealing with the limited amount of funds that you have and trying to meet all the priorities of the mission of the organization, tough thing to do. It's the bad part of it. Time and productivity. It seems that it is, once you get up to be fire chief, everybody wants a piece of your time, and it's hard to be productive. Policy and procedure. I hate writing rules and regulations. It seems like, I used to say that these policies ought to have names on them instead of numbers, because we probably wrote the policy because somebody at some point did something stupid. So I never enjoyed that part of it. The responsibility, just the sheer weight of the responsibility. It's 24/7. It's 365. You're never on. People say, "Oh, you were on vacation last week." No, I was never on vacation. You always keep. Now, I mean, they drug me kicking and screaming to a smartphone because I didn't want to be that connected. But once I, cell phone, email, all that, I checked it. It doesn't matter what, and that's probably my fault. But the responsibility of knowing what is going on and knowing that your people are okay, and that they're doing the job the right way, it's always a weight on your shoulders. And then again, the public can be a real pain in the butt. They can gripe and complain about things they don't understand. It's always amazing to me how the public, just because they've seen a fire truck, they think they know how to run the fire department. And then the ugly. I've had some really difficult moments with discipline, demotion, and firing. And I like to say that I've never disciplined anybody, I've never demoted anybody, and I've never fired anybody. They did it to themselves. And I've had to discipline close friends, I've had to demote close friends, I've had to fire people that I considered friends. And it's not a fun thing to do. And I have people that, have long since forgiven me and understand now what they did. But I've lost friends over it. But it's part of the job. You have to be consistent. If you don't enforce the rules on everybody, you can't enforce them on anybody. Disability. Unfortunately, during my time, I've had guys become disabled on the job. Some of them because of the job, some of them just because of health-related issues, both mental and physical. And those situations were not fun. They were ugly. And in some cases, there was some blame put on the organization, and it wasn't our fault. We did everything we could. So those aren't fun times. Line of duty death. I've had to do eulogies at 4 funerals for firefighters, and it's not fun. And it's part of the job. And the only solace you get is when you gave some sense of comfort to the family. So, but it's an ugly part of the job. The politics, that can get real ugly. I'm not going to go into that today. And then the public can be ugly. I mean, it can be just downright ugly. And we've seen that, with the riots and things going on here recently, and I won't get into that. So anyway, the question I want to leave you with is, are you supporting your fire chief? He or she is dealing with a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, and a lot of ugly things. And those are things that you're never going to understand until you're in that position. So I encourage you to support your fire chief. And then if you want to become a fire chief, understand what it is they're doing and what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, because you're going to have a lot of good, bad, and ugly to deal with if you become fire chief. If you want to know more, here's my contact information. You can call me or text me, or you can email me. I represent RT Insurance and RT Emergency Services. We provide all kinds of free training, whether you're a customer or not. And then if you are a customer, we even provide more support. So if you'd like to discuss that, get in touch with me. And again, thanks for watching.